Jag Cheval, and here we are traveling through the desert talking to you about Molar Technique. Today we're going to be talking about how do we take the extra energy of the molar whip that we've discussed, and how do we take that extra power or momentum and transfer it into free taps or free bounces. And we're going to be talking about this in combinations of 3s and 4-stroke patterns. Once we finish talking about those patterns, we're going to go over an exercise that you can do to practice this at home. Okay. Now, last time we talked about the Moeller Technique, we talked about the 3-part action, which was the drag, bend, whip. Okay, we're going to extend on that by condensing that motion into one single move. And the change we're going to make is, instead of dragging the tip, you're going to keep the tip 1 inch from the center of the drum suspended upwards. So just hovering there, okay? And you're going to lift your elbow up, keeping the tip in the same place. Slight bend at the wrist and a stroke. All right. When you make the stroke, the elbow is going to come into your side. So I'll do it again slowly. Elbow, wrist, stroke. Elbow, wrist, stroke. Other hand. Just slowly. Elbow, wrist, stroke. Elbow, wrist, stroke. Okay. Both together. Elbow, wrist, stroke. Notice how the stick comes up before I make the stroke, just like a whip would before it strikes its target. Okay, so now before we move on, just want to talk about 3 types of molar strokes: full, medium, and low. Okay, so the full molar is your sticks stay in the center of the pad, 1 inch up. Your elbow comes up, you flex your shoulder a bit, and your stick comes all the way up and down. Okay? If you feel like a gorilla while you're doing this, that means you're doing it right. Okay? So this is a very powerful stroke. That's the full molar. Okay? The medium or half molar, it's just more of the elbow. Elbow. You bring your elbow up. Okay? And low is more in the wrist. Okay, so those are your types of molar strokes: low, medium, and full. Hello! So now we got the concept of the molar stroke down. Let's talk about how to use that motion and how do we get free taps out of it. So once you start getting the feel of this stroke, you'll realize it's a very powerful stroke. You're putting like a very little bit of energy. You're just moving your arm, but you're getting a very strong or loud stroke. So there's extra energy left over from that motion. What we're doing is, how do you harness that extra energy? How do you make use of that energy and transfer it into more strokes? So you make a whip, start with a medium or half molar whip, and then as you're winding up for your next whip, make 2 taps. Tap, tap, just like that. So whip, lifting your elbow, tap, tap. Whip, tap, tap, all right? Just like that. Make sure the motion of your elbow stays smooth and fluid, not jerky. You don't want anything to happen where it's like whip, tap, tap. You don't want that. It has to be one fluid motion. I take the stick out of my hand. This is the motion. Alright? Like whipping a rusty car. Put the stick back in your hand. Whip, tap, tap, whip, tap, tap. While you're doing it, think of hitting your side with your elbow. Just make sure you bring your elbow all the way in, because I see a lot of my students, they'll do the whip, tap, tap. They'll bring their whip only kind of halfway. They won't bring it all the way and use the full amount of energy available. So for now, while you're learning it, focus on bringing your elbow all the way in and keeping the motion fluid. Doing the other hand. Both together. remember, you're not using any extra energy from your fingers to make those extra taps. You're not going whip, tap, tap. You're not doing that. You're letting the extra energy of that whip do the work. Look, these 3 fingers don't even need to have anything to do with the strokes. So work on that. Go very slow in the beginning. Like when I mean slow, I mean like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and in a mirror. And don't even start that until you've gotten the 3-part motion down. The drag, lift, wrist thing. So once you get the 3-part action down, start with this really slowly. Look at yourself in the mirror so you can see what your arms are doing, see what your elbows are doing, and take your time, go slowly. We did the 3-stroke pattern, and we want to do the 4-stroke now. Same thing, we just got an extra 1 more tap at the end, which means we just got to lift our elbow just that much higher. So 1, tap, tap, tap. That's all it is. Just one extra bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, bring the elbow all the way into your side. So remember, those last 3 taps don't take any energy or extra effort from my hand. It's just leftover energy from the whip. And by lifting your elbow, you're directing that energy back into the stick, back in the drum pad, and letting the stick bounce. Okay? So you got the 4 strokes and you got the 3 strokes. Now, this is very important. Get comfortable with the 3-stroke pattern before you go into the 4-stroke. There's no point trying to run before you can walk. And also, I can't stress this enough, go very, very slowly with this. I'm going quicker so you can see the motions. I'm also throwing it slowly, but for you at home, go very slowly. Make sure you get the motion right and use a mirror or a webcam, just something so you can see yourself while you're doing it. We've talked about the 3 and 4 note pattern, and now we're going to talk about an exercise you can do to practice these at home.
It's about time.
We're going to start with our right hand, the triplets, the 3 note pattern. We're going to do 1 bar of triplets. It's going to sound like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, okay? Then you're going to go to your left hand and do 1 bar of triplets again. 1 E, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, with the whip on the downbeat, just like we're doing. And then we're going to do both hands together. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and back to your right. Okay, and then back to together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so work on that, and then once you get comfortable, we're going to start alternating our hands. Let me demonstrate what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Speed it up a little bit. Now it's a bit tricky to get at first because the whips are no longer in sync with each other. If you lead with your right hand, you're going to start with your right, left. So start by just practicing whip, 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 whip. Okay, and then bring in 1 tap of the right hand on the right hand. So it's going to be whip, whip, tap. You know what I mean? Whip, whip, tap. Once you get comfortable with that, add a tap on your left hand. So it's going to be whip, whip, tap, tap. So now, almost there, we're going to add 2 more taps. So 1 on your right, 1 on your left. It's going to be whip, whip, tap, 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 tap. Go very slowly. Tap, 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 tap. Whip, whip, tap, 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 tap. All right? So, like I said, we're just going to go whip, whip, And then once you get ready, good with that, whip, tap, whip, whip, tap, tap, and then whip, whip, tap, 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 tap. With your elbows moving smoothly and then coming into your side when you do the whips. Whip, whip, tap. Putting that alternating pattern in with the first exercise, it's going to sound like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to right. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E, 1, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. Okay, I'm just going to do a little example of me doing the triplet exercise, just so you see of where you can take it. Remember, I said this, go very slowly in the beginning. But I just want to show you how it's going to progress and what it's going to look like as you begin to get comfortable and start speeding up the tempo. Start at something like 50, and with the triplet exercise, if you can get it up to 100, 110, 120, that's amazing. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. Practice it slowly. Practice it when you're on top of a mountain or not on top of the mountain. Doesn't matter. Take it slow. Once you get the triplets down, move on to the 4-stroke pattern. Okay, 4-stroke pattern. The exercise is the same as a 3-stroke pattern, except we add an extra stroke. It's going to be 16th notes now, so we're going to count it as such. And we're going to start with our right hand. You lead with your right. If you don't, start with your left. We're going to do right, 1 bar, left for 1 bar, together for 1 bar, and then alternating for 1 bar, and then back to your right. Rinse and repeat. So here we go. I'm going to go very slowly. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3, 4 E and 1. Now I'm just going to demonstrate the exercise, starting slow, going fast, just so you can see what it's going to sound like and what it's going to look like at different tempos. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so right hand, left hand, both together, alternating 1 bar of each, and keep cycling it through. Start even slower, because now you got 4 strokes per beat rather than 3 strokes when doing the triplet exercise. So start at 40 and work your way up by, increase it by 1 or 2 BPM. After you settle into the tempo, increase it so slightly, but stay comfortable, stay relaxed the whole way. You get tense, stop, take a break. If you can get it up to 90, that should be a great place for you to strive for, because that's a good point where it becomes very usable in your music. So 80, 90, that's great. It's the kind of thing where if you can do 5 minutes a day, as opposed to like an hour or 2 on the weekends, you're going to have way more success just by getting that motion programmed into your arm. Okay, so we've talked about the 3-stroke pattern, we've talked about the 4-stroke pattern, how we can steal taps or extra bounces, and we've also talked about an exercise you can do at home. So stay tuned, we got some more lessons coming after this on the Molar Technique as we travel through the desert. And once again, I'm Jag Cheval. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye. Afterwards, we're going to talk about a bee that really likes the camera, and I really hope he gets off the microphone sometime soon. But no, they really like the camera.